So I recently made a video talking about the 2024 NBA draft class, and you guys wanted me to talk about the draft class prior to that, 2023, which was headlined by Victor Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson, and the Thompson twins. And I feel like this draft class has also kind of been all over the place this year. There are guys that are breaking out. There are players that are not even on the team that drafted them. So today we're going to do a check-in on the 2023 draft class, now playing in their third year in the league. And before we get into this, the Enjoy brand just dropped their Run Club merch. They dropped these hoodies. They dropped these hats as well as these t-shirts. The holidays are coming up right around the corners. You can get your Enjoy Run Club collection with the link in the description and in the pinned comment below. So the 2023 draft is always going to be a fascinating one because of the prospect at the top, Victor Wembanyama. You really can't throw around the word generational prospect or generational talent too frequently, right? That is just not going to make the word generational live up to what it actually means, like a once in a lifetime, once in a generation type prospect. But that's what Wemby was. He was an unreal scorer, shooter, defender playing in France. And obviously he just headlined the draft being over 7 feet tall, can knock down threes at an elite rate, and can handle the ball kind of like a guard for somebody that is currently listed at 7'3". A lot of people think he could be 7'5" or maybe even 7'6". And Wemby has been the best defender in the NBA since he's been drafted, in my opinion. I honestly think he should have won Defensive Player of the Year over Rudy Gobert back in 2024. He led the NBA in blocks with 3.6 a night. He was averaging 3.8 blocks in year number 2, and before he went down with the calf strain, 3.6 blocks this year. Wemby was having that breakout MVP season that we expected him to have. 26 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 4.7 stocks a night, 50% from the field, 34 from 3, 86% from the free throw line. Wemby was getting to the line more, taking less threes, kind of the opposite of how he looked in his sophomore year in 2025. But the thing with Wemby has been either the injury or health concerns. He did play 71 games as a rookie back in 2024, but his season got cut short with the blood clot scare in 2025, where he only played 46 games, which basically didn't allow him to win Defensive Player of the Year or just finish in the top 5 in MVP voting. And this year, Wemby's already dealing with a calf strain. He's going to be sidelined for a few weeks. He was somebody that was going to be a unanimous D-point winner who's going to finish on an All-NBA first team, but we haven't really seen Wemby have a long-term connection with De'Aaron Fox, who they picked up last year at the trade deadline because of Wemby's health, which is always going to be something to monitor when you're over 7 feet tall going forward, because if Wemby can just be relatively healthy throughout his career, he can actually be one of the greatest players of all time. Like every night when you're watching Wemby, it feels like you're seeing something that you have never seen before. He's making plays that somebody that's 7'3", 4 or 5 should not be making whatsoever. He makes the game looks so easy. His impact goes much further than what the box score shows you, because nobody wants to shoot the ball around Wemby. His radius, his block range is maybe the most impressive that we've seen in NBA history, more than Hakeem's, more than Manute Bol's, more than Dikembe Mutombo's. Wemby is legit, and he's also one of the best offensive players in the NBA. And like I said, the only thing holding him back from being like one of the greatest players of all time is his health going forward. And the injuries have also kind of been the story for the number 2 overall pick, Brandon Miller, to the Charlotte Hornets, who was in debate to go number 2 or number 3 at the time. A lot of people, including me, thought the pick should have been Scoot Henderson. I thought Scoot was by far the second best player in the draft. That is making me look very silly today, but unfortunately, Brandon Miller, after such a promising rookie year, finishing 3rd in the Rookie of the Year race behind Wemby and technically Chet Holmgren, who was a rookie that year, just hasn't really been able to stay healthy. He missed 55 games in the 2025 season, only playing 27 games. If you remember Hornets basketball from last year, nobody else outside of LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller could really create their own shots, so their shot selection wasn't going to be the best in the world because they had to work with what they were given. This year, Brandon Miller has already been banged up with a shoulder injury. He recently came back, but is currently day-to-day right now with a rest tag on that injury report. And that's just something that you might have to deal with the 23-year-old this year, and I just want Brandon Miller to be consistently healthy because I do think he could be a 3-level scorer in this league. He's 6'9". He's got a great mid-range jumper. He's a hell of an athlete that could finish at the rim with contact and use that athleticism on the defensive end of the floor. And I just want to watch Brandon Miller and Con Knipple play 50, 60-plus games together this year with LaMelo Ball at the point guard spot. But unfortunately for Brandon Miller, injuries have kind of been the story of his career so far. It's just such a small sample size here in year number number 3, just appearing in 3 games when I'm recording this video. The field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage counting numbers aren't great, but it's such a small sample size. I hope that Brandon Miller could just have consistent health this season, because if he just has reoccurring injuries, I don't think we're going to see him reach that full potential in year number 3 that we thought he was on track for after such a promising rookie season. And then unfortunately, Scoot Henderson is currently hurt right now with a hamstring injury. Scoot has been more available than Brandon Miller so far in his career. I don't think he's shown those high-end flashes like Brandon Miller did in his rookie season, because Scoot in his rookie year had such inconsistent playing time from Chauncey Billups, and something that we see from young guards. They're going to struggle finishing at the rim, getting to their spots, knowing when to attack and when to not, and Scoot averaged about 14 points, 3.5 turnovers in his rookie year, 5.5 assists, and shot just 38% from the field. But Scoot was starting to take strides in year number 2. It still was an up and down season, but he came off the bench 56 times out of his 66 games. He did shoot 42% from the field. He shot about 47% on twos, up 6% from what he did in 2024. But the 3-point shot was taking strides. Pretty much the same volume from year 1 to year 2. About 4.5 attempts a night. He went from 32% from 3 to 35% from 3. I think Scoot can be a good pick and roll ball handler. And I was also excited to see the connection with him and Donovan Clingan going forward. And this offseason, the Blazers traded for Jrue Holiday, signed Damian Lillard, who will not play this year, but will play in 2027, and also extended Shaedon Sharpe. So I do wonder where Scoot Henderson's priority is going to be in the Portland Trail Blazers mindset this season. This is a team that wanted to make the playoffs. They have been struggling right now with injuries. Scoot has not played at all this year. He's still going to be out for a few more weeks with this hamstring injury. Those can definitely linger. And the head coach that did not really play him, Chauncey Billups, is currently being investigated by the FBI right now. So their interim head coach, Tiago Splitter, is going to be at the forefront of Scoot Henderson's development this year. I just feel like if we don't see Scoot take the strides forward this year with Jrue on the roster, Shaedon Sharpe, who got extended, you have Kamara, Denny Avdia, Donovan Clingan, and all these mouths to feed in Portland, I don't know if there's going to be a direct path for Scoot Henderson to be the player that we thought he could be, at least on the rookie contract going forward. I'm not saying that Portland is going to trade him, but I just wonder where Scoot's priority is going to be in the Portland Trail Blazers future as we get further along this season. It is disappointing that he's hurt right now. It's not his fault that he's hurt, but you know what they say, the best ability is availability. And it hurts a little bit more knowing who went number 4 for Portland, at least, because Amen Thompson has been the second best player in this draft class. He's been better than Brandon Miller, better than Scoot Henderson. Honestly, when people said that they would take Amen over Brandon Miller about the middle part of last year, I was like, that's way too early. I still like Brandon Miller's upside as an offensive player, because Amen Thompson clearly had his shooting limitations. But no, Amen Thompson is clearly the number 2 player in this draft class right now for what he can do on the offensive end of the floor and the defensive end of the floor. He did miss around 20 games in his first year, but also had inconsistent playing time under Ime Udoka, and he fully broke out in 2025. The Rockets were forced to play him over 30 minutes a night, where he averaged 14 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2.7 stocks a night, and was an all defensive first team member. This guy is going to get the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander assignment every single night. He's going to get the Devin Booker assignment, the Anthony Edwards assignment. He will do so much for you on the defensive end of the floor, and also just be a freak athlete on the offensive end. He's truly in the 99th percentile of athletes in the NBA. He's averaging 18 points this year, 6.5 rebounds, 5 assists, and shooting about 49% from the field. Still has his 3-point limitations, and we'll see if that's ever going to progress later in his career, but he's an elite defender right now. I'm not sure if he's going to be a first-time All-Star here in the 2026 season, because they have Kevin Durant and Şengün, and I'm not sure Houston's going to get 3 of them, but he's definitely going to be in that consideration, and is definitely a franchise building block in Houston going forward. And how cool is it that his twin brother Ausar Thompson went 1 pick later to the Detroit Pistons? Ausar Thompson was a little bit more of a raw offensive player than Amen coming out of the overtime elite. He did play 63 games for a horrible Pistons team in 2024, coached by Monty Williams, and then unfortunately had a blood clot scare like Victor Wembanyama, so that kind of affected his sophomore year. No training camp, no proper ramp up. He did play 59 games, but looked so much better in the second half, and I believe Pistons fans can attest to this, that the whole team defense, specifically Jalen Duren as a rim protector, looked so much better when Ausar Thompson was out there for Detroit last year. And this year, he's been a great number 3 behind Jalen Duren and Cade Cunningham for a very good Detroit Pistons team this year. He's averaging career highs across the board now that he's getting a normal workload again. Last year, he played around 22 minutes a night. That's up to 29 minutes a night this year. 52% from the field, shooting 31% on threes, 5.5 rebounds, 3 assists a night. Is just as good of a defender, in my opinion, than his brother Amen. Just don't ask Ausar Thompson to take a free throw, because he's not a good free throw shooter right now, but is still just a fantastic rebounder, a great defender, a great cutter, slasher, somebody that you can trust as a downhill attacker. And I do wonder if we'll ever get to some floor spacing issues in Detroit with Ausar Thompson's limited shooting. But with so much variance in the 2023 draft and just taking a raw prospect like Ausar Thompson, I think it's worked out in Detroit. You could say that the Orlando Magic took somewhat of a project with the 6th overall pick in Anthony Black. This is a team that had Jalen Suggs that was kind of as like their franchise point guard in a way, but definitely has some versatility to be a 1 or 2. But Orlando ended up signing KCP in the 2024 offseason, a year after Anthony Black's rookie season. So he wasn't going to start for Orlando last year, even though he's kind of better than KCP. And then they went out and traded for Desmond Bane in the 2025 offseason. So there really hasn't been a clear path for Anthony Black to be a starter for Orlando outside of a chunk in his rookie season, or if injuries do pop up. But this year in 2026, I think Anthony Black has looked the best as an offensive player so far, also averaging career highs across the board. And I think with the disappointment to Orlando's maybe floor spacing to start off the year, or the Tyus Jones free agency pickup, Anthony Black has definitely been their best bench guard, averaging around 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2.5 assists tonight, 1.4 steals, shooting 47% from the field and 55% on twos. He's still struggling as a 3-point shooter, which was a big swing skill for him coming out of Arkansas in this 2023 draft. But when he just goes with his strengths and attacks the rim, is an off-ball cutter and slasher around Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero, just a great runner in transition as well, Anthony Black can really be a versatile two-way player in this league because he's 6'7". He doesn't have the traditional point guard size, so you could play him out there as a perimeter guy. The one thing that he does lack, like Amen Thompson and Ausar Thompson and maybe Scoot and Brandon Miller at times, the 3-point shooting. But I think with all the volatility in this top 10, there's definitely been some better picks, some worse picks. I think Orlando is okay with Anthony Black right now, and I wonder if they are going to extend him at the end of this season. Because really looking at this, I only think there's like 2 guys that are going to get extended. I think it's going to be Victor Wembanyama. I think it's going to be Amen Thompson. Maybe Ausar Thompson ends up getting paid at the end of the year, but I think there's a lot of question marks with guys as we get later in this draft. Because I don't think Bilal Coulibaly, who went number 7 to the Washington Wizards, is going to get a rookie extension at the end of the year. Unfortunately for Bilal, he was drafted by a team that was kickstarting off their rebuild. They recently traded away Bradley Beal, and Bilal was never really projected to go in the lottery, let alone the top 10 leading up to the 2023 draft. He did benefit as being a teammate with Victor Wembanyama over in France. And you could definitely see that he was a developmental guy in this league. He had his ups and downs as a rookie, as an on-ball creator, as a defender in this league, but really showed upside on that end of the court. And in year number 2, in 2025, he got off to such a good start. And I really thought that Bilal Coulibaly was breaking out to maybe being a high-end offensive weapon for the Washington Wizards. Last year in December, Bilal in around 11 games shot around, because last year to start off the year, in his first 4 games of the season in October, he averaged 19 points, 6 rebounds on 72% true shooting, but basically just got worse and worse every month throughout year number 2. Bilal also had an injury that was going to give him a slower start here in year number 3, and he's shooting just 38% from the field, 30% from 3, 80% from the free throw line. I still think has some really good defensive flashes, but he's 21 years old. He's still extremely young, but Washington has drafted a lot of guys that are maybe now higher in the developmental pecking order than Bilal Coulibaly. Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, Trey Johnson, maybe even Bub Carrington, or another guy we're going to get to from this draft that they traded for in the offseason. They're going to have a top 5 pick again this year, so I do wonder where they're going to prioritize Bilal Coulibaly going forward if he doesn't take any sort of offensive leap. And the Washington Wizards traded up to actually take Bilal by 1 spot, so the Indiana Pacers traded down 1 spot, got some second-round draft capital to select Jarace Walker out of Houston, a prospect I was very intrigued about for what he could be as a defender and as a floor spacing 4 in this league. And Walker, like some of these guys, never got consistent playing time under Rick Carlisle in the beginning part of his career. And it's because the Indiana Pacers were a good team headlined by Tyrese Halliburton. They went to the conference finals in 2024, NBA finals in 2025. Walker showed moments and flashes for the Pacers in the playoffs last year as a nice off-ball player to Tyrese Halliburton, as a good defender and somebody that could space the floor or maybe even play the small ball 5 because he's extremely physical, he's extremely strong. But this year, with the increase in workload, career high in minutes, shots, he is not taking advantage of those opportunities right now, shooting just 33% from the field, 32% from 3, averaging 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. And I think his efficiency would go up in a scaled back role, and obviously you'd like to see him out there with Tyrese Haliburton going forward. But next year is going to be year 4 of this rookie deal, and Indiana wants to go back to the NBA Finals next year as well. I don't think they would be afraid to change things up. Walker was kind of like their last top 10 pick in their rebuild. They obviously got Benedict Mathurin in 2022, and I just feel like a lot of Pacers fans have been disappointed with Walker's play this year, where this was going to be kind of like a retool gap year for him to shine and show to Rick Carlisle and the Pacers organization that he is a true building block going forward. And somebody that can't even crack minutes for one of the worst teams in the Western Conference, Taylor Hendricks of the Utah Jazz. I remember March of 2024, Taylor Hendricks. He was a floor-spacing power forward that could play good defense, that was extremely physical and athletic out there. And then unfortunately, in game 3 of his sophomore year last year, he suffered a gruesome injury, which only made him play, 3 games, missing 79 games in year number 2. Now this year, his minutes have been all over the place. He's struggling, feeling kind of just comfortable out there, back in the NBA rhythm. I'm not sure if he would benefit maybe just appearing in the G League right now, but we're watching Kevin Love, Yusuf Nurkic, Kyle Anderson get more minutes than Taylor Hendricks. And I know Hendricks hasn't been great out there, but Utah, you're still a rebuilding team. Don't you want to see what you can get out of Taylor Hendricks? That was a top 10 pick in the 2023 draft. It is kind of crazy that in 2023 and 2024, Utah's top 10 picks really haven't worked out so far, with Cody Williams in 24 and Taylor Hendricks in 23. I do think we're eventually going to see more playing time from Hendricks this year. But as Ace Bailey comes into the fold, Lauri Markkanen may still be on this team in the future. Walker Kessler, Sensabaugh, Walter Clayton, Keontae George, who we're going to get to, Isaiah Collier. There's so many mouths to feed in Utah. I do wonder if Taylor Hendricks is going to end up being an odd man out. So on the night of the 2023 draft, the Dallas Mavericks traded down with the Oklahoma City Thunder and was also able to get off a Davis Bertans contract, but OKC had so much young talent, they were able to just take on a bad contract and not really feel it whatsoever. So they went up to number 10 and selected Cason Wallace out of Kentucky. When in doubt, take a Kentucky guard. Cason Wallace has been one of the best defensive guards in the NBA since he's been drafted. I know he hasn't made it to an all-defensive team, but he's playing out there with Moot Dort and Alex Caruso. Obviously, he's not going to have as much shine as those guys, but I don't know if OKC wins the finals last year without Cason Wallace. They probably do, but Wallace was such a vital part to that team's run in 2025, and he's also looked a little bit better this year as well, actually leading the NBA in steals at the moment with 2.4 a night, averaging 8.5 points, shooting 37% from 3. He's not going to average 15 points a night given all the mouths to feed in OKC right now, and you're going to have Jalen Williams coming back, but this team is 17-1. They're by far the best defensive team in the league because Cason Wallace is an elite point of attack defender. He is somebody that helps you win an NBA title, and honestly, when I was talking about guys that could get extended this upcoming offseason, Sam Presti has to lock up Cason Wallace because he means so much to this OKC defense, and he's still just 22 years old. So one of my least favorite picks on the night of the 2023 draft was Jett Howard to the Orlando Magic at pick number 11. And for most of Jett Howard's career, he hasn't really been an efficient scorer because his main calling card coming out of Michigan, his three-point shooting, he averaged about 1.5 points in his rookie year, could barely find any playing time. And last year, he did appear in 60 games, a lot of that being garbage time, just shot 29% from 3. There's been a slight Jett Howard resurgence here in year number 3. They just lost to the Boston Celtics. They have their injuries right now in Orlando, but Jett Howard dropped 30 points, a career high, 7 rebounds. He knocked down 5 threes, and he looked just efficient around the rim. Now, I'm not sure if Jett Howard is going to be able to use this as some momentum in his career, given that he is 22 years old. In year 3 of this deal, in Orlando is going to have some financial decisions to make soon because they have a very expensive roster, and Jets making about 5.5 this year, 7 million next year. They could definitely use somebody with Jett Howard's size and shooting out there. They need as much shooting as they can get in Orlando, but if he can't really make something out of this breakout game against Boston, I highly doubt he's going to be on this team next year. I mean, you're doing some type of 2023 redraft after their rookie years. Dereck Lively is going in the top 5, the top 7. I don't know where he goes right now because ever since they traded away Luka Doncic, Lively's production hasn't been as much on display, and he's also had a ton of injury concerns. Right now, he's dealing with a knee injury, he's dealt with some foot injuries as well, and he's a 7'1" center. That is a big man that can get injured very quickly, and you got to be a little bit worried out there because of that injury concern. In his rookie year, he played vital minutes for a Mavericks team in the NBA Finals. You guys remember how good and crucial he was to Dallas's 2024 run as a nice rim protector, rebounder, and lob threat with Luka Doncic. 2025 though, he averages kind of similar amount of numbers, played a little bit less actually, but only appeared in 36 games. and they traded away Luka Doncic in February. We've barely seen him play out there with Anthony Davis since they've made that trade, and Lively's already hurt 7 games into this year's season. He's averaging just 4 points, a career high in fouls, with a career low in minutes, and just does not look like the same player whatsoever. It's a true shame because Lively was such a promising young big man in the league after his rookie year. So I do wonder where Dereck Lively's career path is going to go moving forward, because I think anybody on this Mavericks team right now is movable outside of Cooper Flagg. Now, Gradey Dick going 13 to the Toronto Raptors made the Jett Howard pick at 11 look a little bit worse at the time, just because they're kind of a similar archetype. And like Bilal Coulibaly in 2025, Gradey Dick got off to a fantastic start. He looked somebody that could really be a true shot creator in this league. His isolation tape looked out of this world, and I was so excited for Gradey Dick's development going forward. In the month of October and November and December, in around 27 games, he was averaging about 18 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists on 45, 35, 90 splits. And I'm like, this could be a co-star, a co-scoring wing to Scottie Barnes in this league. But he did struggle later in the year in 2025. He did get injured as the Raptors didn't even make the play-in tournament. And the Raptors have been one of the better teams, not just in the Eastern Conference, but in the NBA to kickstart off the 2026 season. So many different guys are stepping up. Gradey Dick, not as much. Now, I do think Gradey Dick is an extremely valuable role player in this league, given his energy, his likability on the roster as well. Just a true glue guy in Toronto, but he is averaging career lows across the board. 7 points, 2 rebounds, less than an assist a night, is barely operating with the ball in his hands, and is shooting just 32% from 3 on just 3 attempts a night. They have quickly RJ, Ingram, they drafted Conor Murray-Boyles. Mamu has been their best bench player. Jamal Shead has maybe been their best bench guard. And there is an injury right now to RJ Barrett, so maybe Gradey Dick can step up going forward. He just played 11 minutes against the Cavs the other night, just scoring 0 points in that game, 0 of 5 from the field, and he's not going to give you elite defense whatsoever. I'm very interested to see how the Gradey Dick year 3 season looks going forward, because I think he's in a weird spot right now. And the last pick in the lottery, Jordan Hawkins, was one of my favorite picks on the night of the 2023 draft. A true 3-and-D wing that could just plug into New Orleans, a team that was trying to make the playoffs in 2024. They did, but they ended up getting swept by the Oklahoma City Thunder. But Hawkins was a winner at UConn. He was somebody that I thought was going to translate seamlessly to the NBA level. In his rookie year, he did shoot just 38% from the field, but encouraging 37% from 3. I thought was playing good defense. In 2025, he was just a part of that cursed Pelicans team. He missed 26 games in year number 2. The efficiency dropped pretty much across the board for Jordan Hawkins, not being able to play off Zion at times or Brandon Ingram really at all. And this year, Jordan Hawkins has been really bad. I think his days may be numbered in New Orleans. I know he's dealing with a personal matter right now, but I know a lot of Pelicans fans think the team looks better when he is not on the court. He's shooting 31% from the field, 26% from 3. He can't hit a shot whatsoever. Yeah, it's not been really a great year 3 for some of the later lottery picks in this draft. Like Dereck Lively, Gradey Dick, and Jordan Hawkins. I don't know where they're going to be going moving forward. All right, so we're going to go a little bit quicker through the non-lottery picks. Kobe Buffkin. This one hurts me, man, because I loved Cody Buffkin in the 2023 draft. I thought he was a top 10 player in this class. I believe I had him like 9 on my big board. No, this one has been an absolute disaster. Now, I did not like him getting drafted to Atlanta, a team that already had DeJounte Murray and Trae Young in that backcourt. And Kobe Buffkin had some really bad injury luck in his career, playing in just 17 games in 2024 and just 10 games in 2025. And Atlanta basically salary dumped him to Brooklyn in the offseason for cash. And then Brooklyn waived him in October as well, which is a damn shame because I really thought Kobe Buffkin was going to be this shifty guard in the half court that can work off the pick and rolls extremely well and use his bend to get around defenders and finish at the rim. It hasn't been that whatsoever. This one is definitely a big draft miss by me, but I guess also more so by the Atlanta Hawks front office. And it makes this pick look a little bit worse because Keyonte George has been a big breakout star here in year number 3 for the Utah Jazz. Keyonte George was really inefficient around the rim, kind of an inefficient three-point shooter for some really bad Jazz teams in 2024 and in 2025. He was asked to basically be their de facto point guard when he really wasn't an on-ball guy much at Baylor at times. He was more of a two-guard spot, but this year, he's truly breaking out. In year number 1, he averaged 13 points. In year number 2, last year, 17 points. He's scoring 23 points per game here in 2026. He's averaging 7 assists a night, 4 rebounds. And what I love about George's game, he's getting to the free throw line 7 times a night, shooting 91% from the free throw line. He's shooting just 44% from the field, 31% from 3, and around 53% on 2s. He's been a below average guy in terms of efficiency, but he's getting it done around the rim, and I think that is going to be a great trajectory for him going forward. I think he's a true franchise building block in Utah, and definitely looks better than their top 10 pick from this class. Jett Howard, I really can't say too much about. He's not even on the LA Lakers anymore. He hasn't really been on the LA Lakers in a minute. He played 21 games for the Lakers in 2024, just played about 5 minutes a night, shot 22% from the field, and averaged 1.5 points. He appeared in 2 games for the Lakers in 2025, and then we knew that he didn't get his 3rd-year team option. That is so rare for a top 20 pick in the draft to not get their 3rd-year team option picked up. He was then part of maybe the biggest trade in NBA history. He was included in that Luka Doncic trade. There was a 3rd team involved, the Utah Jazz. He goes to Utah. He gets waived 4 days later, and then he ended up signing a 2-way with Philadelphia in 2025, and I'm not sure if Jalen Hood-Schifino was going to be on a roster moving forward. Still just 22 years old. But yeah, so far this guard class has kind of been all over the place. Like Scoot Henderson disappointing, Amen Thompson not disappointing. I think Anthony Black has been more so promising than disappointing so far. Cason Wallace has been good, but Gradey Dick's been Jordan Hawkins has been Kobe Buffkin and Jalen Hood-Schifino have not worked out whatsoever. And Jaime Jaquez, I was kind of out on after his 2nd year, given that he was almost 24 years old, and I think was pretty disappointing across the board in year number 2. Could not really shoot the ball whatsoever. He's still not a great 3-point shooter by any means, but Jaquez is also kind of breaking out here in 2026 and has helped the offensive workload in Miami in the absence of Tyler Hero, who recently came back. Jaquez has maybe been the best Triple J this year. He's averaging 16.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. Jaquez has been a great creator for Miami, a team that is not running any pick and rolls this year, and they're working out of isolation. What Jaquez is actually best at, they're playing to his strengths. 53% from the field. He's shooting about 58% on 2s. He's great in transition. Yeah, this is a nice breakout or bounce back year for Hawkins in Miami. Another polarizing player ended up going number 19 here to the Golden State Warriors. I love this pick at the time, Brandin Podziemski. And for the 19th overall pick, this has been a solid selection by the Golden State Warriors front office. Pods is averaging 12 points right now, which is a career high, 3 assists, 4.5 rebounds, shooting 43% from the field, 38% from 3, and 77% from the free throw line. I think Warriors fans are just not a big fan of Pods' consistency, because it does feel like one night he can just impact the game in so many different ways, give you 20 points, 4 assists, and be efficient from the field. Other nights he's just taking really bad shots, and definitely benefits when he's out there with Steph and Jimmy Butler. He was maybe get a headline of Lowry marketing trade in the 2024 offseason. That didn't materialize. I do wonder if he's going to be on the Warriors after this year's deadline. Cam Whitmore got traded from the Houston Rockets to the Washington Wizards in the 2025 offseason. It made a lot of sense for where Houston was going moving forward, because Whitmore, on the night of the 2023 draft, I thought could go as high as 5 to the Detroit Pistons. He ended up falling in this draft, maybe because of some character issues, some medical issues. He ends up going number 20 to the Houston Rockets. And honestly, his production for where he went, you still make that pick in hindsight. So far this year for the Washington Wizards, he's averaging around 10 points, shooting 56% on 2s. The thing with Whitmore is he doesn't pass the ball. He's a shoot first guy. He has extreme tunnel vision, and that hasn't changed. I'm not sure if that's going to affect his longevity in the league moving forward, because if he can't show that he could play on a playoff team and be a top 9 guy like on a playoff roster, I'm not sure there's really going to be a big spot or role for Whitmore in this league, unless it's for some tanking teams out there that is just looking for an offensive boost. Noah Clowney kind of also been all over the place. He goes 21 to the Brooklyn Nets. He's been somebody that struggled with his efficiency in this league, but did show some late 3-point shooting potential in year number 2 last year for the Nets, another bad team he's been a part of. This year, the Nets are even worse, but he is averaging almost career highs across the board. He still struggles at the rim for a big, but is shooting 33% on 3s, and he just went 7 of 13 against the New York Knicks. He had 31 points in that game, a career high, and I think he could be an intriguing piece in this league. I hope Jordy Fernandez can kind of just fix his overall efficiency moving forward. And Clowney looks better than their second first-round pick, in which they had back-to-back selections, one of these from the Kevin Durant trade. They selected Dereck Whitehead out of Duke with the 22nd overall pick. I thought Whitehead was a top 5 shooter in this class because he just looked so poised and calm as a shooter at Duke the year prior, but unfortunately injuries have kind of derailed his career a little bit in the start of it. He played 2 games as a rookie in 2024, 20 games last year for the Nets, a bad Nets team. He also hasn't been able to shoot the ball well in preseason or summer league. He ended up getting waived to start off this year from Brooklyn. Chris Murray is actually playing some notable minutes for the Portland Trailblazers this year because everybody is hurt in Portland. I didn't really expect Murray, who was, I guess, the main asset coming back in the Josh Hart trade in the 2024 season, was going to play a lot for Portland going forward because he hasn't really shown a lot in his career as an offensive scorer or really as a three-point shooter. He's still not much of a three-point shooter, but he has been a little bit effective around the rim for Portland this year. He's a solid rebounder. I still don't think he's going to be a long-term piece on this team going forward, but maybe he can make something out of all these injuries in Portland. I thought Olivier Maxence Prosper was a very intriguing prospect coming out of Marquette. This was a pick that the Dallas Mavericks were able to get from the Sacramento Kings for taking on Richaun Holmes' bad contract. OMP didn't really work out in Dallas. He played 40 games as a rookie, 52 games last year, and with all the injuries to the 2025 Mavericks, if OMP was not able to make the most out of his minutes, I didn't really think there was going to be a spot for him in Dallas moving forward. That was the case. He ended up getting waived in the offseason. He did sign a 2-way contract with the Memphis Grizzlies, another team that is currently having some injuries right now, so OMP is currently in Memphis, averaging around 4.5 points in about 10 minutes a night. Marcus Sasser hasn't played this year for the Detroit Pistons with a hip injury. I do wonder if they're going to play Sasser with Dennis Jenkins, kind of coming out of nowhere, and you obviously have Cade and Jaden Ivey and Duncan Robinson as your guards moving forward. Sasser has definitely been pretty good for a 25th overall pick in the NBA draft. He shot 37% from 3 as a rookie, 38% from 3 last year. Definitely has his offensive limitations. I don't think he's somebody that can really play 20 minutes a night, but I still think he's an intriguing guard in this league. He's a little bit on the older side though, 25 years old, at least for somebody in year number 3. Ben Shepherd is somebody also in Indiana that is struggling in the absence of Tyrese Halliburton. The 24-year-old out of Belmont was the 26th overall pick. Last year, he had some big-time threes for the Indiana Pacers at times. He even got runtime as a rookie in 2024 in meaningful playoff games, but this year, he's averaging around 6 points, 4 rebounds, shooting 31% from the field, and the three-point shooting skill, his main skill, he's shooting just 19% from 3 on 4 attempts a night. Yeah, Indiana really does miss Tyrese Halliburton generating this offense. Nick Smith Jr., another guy I liked in this 2023 draft, was unfortunately waived by the Charlotte Hornets before the season started. He had a bunch of playing time last year, but never really took advantage of those opportunities. Charlotte had LaMelo Ball, obviously as their starting point guard. They drafted Con Knipple, traded for Colin Sexton. They had Trey Mann. They even signed Spencer Dinwiddie early in the offseason, so there really wasn't a spot for Nick Smith Jr. on this team. A guard that isn't the best defender in the world, not the best passer in the world, playmaker, and if he's not knocking down his threes because he wasn't last year, he doesn't have much value in the league. This year, though, he's actually been pretty good in 6 games with the Lakers. Now, he's not really in their rotation right now, but when LeBron and Luka were hurt at the beginning of the year, Nick Smith Jr. was actually shooting 44% from 3. I hope JJ Redick and this Lakers organization maybe he's patient with Nick Smith Jr. because he could be something for them down the line. I was so intrigued about Bryce Sensabaugh, the 28th overall pick to Utah going into year number 3. Medicals dropped them in this 2023 draft out of Ohio State, but he really did show flashes late in the year for Utah in 2025. A bad Jazz team, but he looked like an elite three-point shooter. Like Cam Whitmore, he doesn't really like to pass the ball whatsoever. He looked great in summer league as a shooter and preseason. This year, his playing time has kind of been all over the place in Utah. They definitely prioritize Ace Bailey's development going forward. And Sensabaugh shooting around 34% on threes. He's been playing a little bit more as of late, and I do wonder if that three-point shot is going to come around a little bit more later in the year. It's kind of upsetting to me that Julian Strawther really hasn't done too much for the Nuggets this year because he showed out kind of late in their playoff run last year against the Oklahoma City Thunder. I really like Strawther as just a glue guy here in Denver, but it does feel like Peyton Watson has kind of surpassed Strawther here as like a young wing for the Denver Nuggets moving forward. Career lows across the board for Strawther, 36% from the field, 12% from 3, averaging just around 3.7 points in 8 minutes a night, basically playing garbage time, and is currently dealing with a back issue. And the last pick for the first round, I did not like this one at the time. Kobe Brown out of Mizzou to the LA Clippers. This team has not been able to draft well in the first round for at least some time now. Kobe Brown this year has appeared in about 10 games for the Clippers because they've had their fair share of injuries. 40% from the field, 33% from 3. Doesn't really get to the free throw line, averaging just 2.7 points, less than an assist a night, about 1.8 rebounds, and has played most of the garbage time for the Clippers here. I don't really think he's going to be on this roster next year. The second round has also not really been the best so far, but there have been some intriguing players nonetheless. Jordan Walsh, who went 38 to the Boston Celtics has actually had some really nice defensive moments here in year number 3. Mohamed Gay for the Atlanta Hawks has also looked like kind of a freak athlete out there, can crash the glass. He's a chaotic player, but I do think could be a good one in Atlanta moving forward. You have GG Jackson, who was one of the better rookies from this class in year number 1, but hasn't really found that rookie stride he had back in that 2024 season, where he was able to get a decent amount of playing time with all those injuries in Memphis. The big hit, though, in the second round to Monty Kamara. Got drafted by the Phoenix Suns, was on the Suns for a couple months, and then gets traded to the Portland Trailblazers in that DeAndre Ayton, Yusuf Nurkic 3-team trade. Yeah, he could really be a valuable piece in Phoenix right now. He's one of the best defenders in the league. He averages around 12 points, 5 rebounds a night. I know the offensive game hasn't been perfect here in year number 3, but an absolute home run pick for somebody that ended up going 52. And yeah, that is going to be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy kind of just this 2023 draft check-in. I like to do these at the start of every year. Let me know if you want to see like a 2022 draft class check-in at all. You can let me know down below or dropping a thumbs up on this video. Don't forget to check out the Enjoy Run Club collection, link in the description and pin comment below. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.